And while we wait for those final results to come in, our political experts are answering our questions about the election. Democrat James Mejia and Republican Kelly Maher join us now. Wanted to start off with the president's latest tweet talking about a press conference later this morning. Is there an anticipation to hear from him? If so, what is the anticipation about a possible tone for this morning?
Well, I'll jump in here. The recent tweets by the president, as recently as yesterday, have all gotten warnings for their falsehoods and leading misinformation. I think today will be more of the same, more misinformation, allegations of fraud, which he has brought forward with no evidence, baseless, and is another action of voter suppression and voter intimidation. We've seen this before, and this is the new style of voter intimidation and suppression.
Kelly?
You know, what I hope for today is I hope that the president comes out and he gives a rundown of what his concerns are and then evidence of why he believes what he believes on that. Because I really think, you know, if you look back to the last time that we were in a tight presidential election, 2000, we saw the Bush legal team come with, you know, a really clear strategy of what their concerns were and how they were going to address them. I would like to see that from the presidential campaign as well as the president's legal team.
You know, and there's so much focus on the electoral votes, but I wanted to talk about the numbers from the popular vote and what is it actually telling us about the election? Kelly, we can start with you.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, we hit a high water mark. We saw voter turnout that is absolutely unheard of. And we had heard that there was this huge blue wave coming. And even now we're hearing from Joe Biden as well as Nancy Pelosi that they have a mandate. Clearly, that is not the case. Obviously, these shy Trump, shy conservative voters absolutely do exist. They were not quantified widespread in polling, and as well as Republicans did, Senate, we picked up House seats and at state legislatures across the country. Obviously, this is not a mandate for the type of campaigning we've seen from Democrats.
Well, and I would just say that I think there is a mandate, but it's not one to take the country in some far left direction. I think the mandate is to unify the country. And what you're hearing from Vice President Joe Biden is that talk about the value of counting every vote, the value of looking at other perspectives and taking them into account when you govern. This is moderating inclusive language, which we haven't heard from the Oval Office in 4 years. And so if there is a mandate, the mandate is to unify the country, to bring everyone together and to govern for all the people in the United States and not just one party.
So our last question for you is that we're seeing plans for recounts in Georgia because the numbers are so close. You alluded to this a little bit. There have been attempts at lawsuits, some of them already been dismissed. What can voters expect over the next few weeks at this point? James, we can start with you.
Well, we've already seen that 1/4 of the lawsuits brought by Trump have already been dismissed and have already been proved as baseless. I think the other lawsuits which are pending, we'll find there's nothing behind them. You know, when you make allegations of fraud weeks before the election, now it's very hard to be in the election with allegations of fraud still. The irony of the whole thing is that the counting of votes in some areas are narrowing Biden's lead, while in others they are widening the lead. So actually what we need to do is be patient, wait for the votes to be counted, and then assess the election. Something that the president has not been doing thus far.
Yeah, ultimately there is a legal process and the president is exercising that, which is 100% his right. Again, I would like him to come out and explain exactly what his concerns are and why he has those concerns to the people, because I think right now what we need is a really clear message on that.
All right. Well, a lot to keep an eye on. And as always, we appreciate you, James and Kelly, and especially getting up early on a Saturday morning. Thanks. We'll be back.